So let's talk about Proposition 22, which prohibits the state from borrowing or taking funds used for transportation, redevelopment, or local government projects and services. So what this means is during a financial crisis like we are in right now, the state could not take money away or tax revenues away from, transportation, redevelopment, local government projects, and put it towards, helping to solve the budget crisis. This one we were a little bit confused on, so I just want to break it down for people. If you vote yes, that means that the state's authority to use these funds will be restricted, and they won't be able to take money from one place and put it in another place. If you vote no, things will pretty much just stay the way they are now, and it wouldn't be affected, and they'd still have the power. So, Sonia, let's start with you. You are for this proposition?
I think that the government needs to be limited in what they can do with money they get from taxpayers. And I think this is a good way for them to find alternative ways to get that money. Because if they're going to go around borrowing money that's specifically for transportation and redevelopment, then what are we going to, if they run out of money from there, what are we going to do? That money specifically for that, taxpayers pay those taxes for that transportation redevelopment stuff, and I don't think that the government should have the authority to just take that money and borrow it whenever they want.
Sade, you are against this, which means you would like things to stay the way that they are now and keep the status quo.
Honestly, I think either way we're screwed. I feel like if we stay the same and we keep doing as we're doing, then we could either progress or it could get worse. But if we take that away, I think with the debt that we're already in, we're taking a risk that we can't afford to back up. I think, yes, the government that does over-limit their power, they have a little bit more power doing that as far as the money and the taxpayers, but I think with the start of those things as far as the transportation and all of that, it's half and half. We can do that, that'll be complete, but then we're lacking on this side. And so it's kind of like you have to equal out which one's more important.
It seems to me, regardless of what your position is on the issue, it's crazy that the propositions that are the most important, the ones that have to do with the budget and have to do with money and taxes, those are always the ones that are written in the most confusing manner to try and mess voters up when they go into the polls. I just want to take a second and say that we talked earlier about how, we're in such a budget crisis. Is this the time that we should be trying to think outside the box for ways to find new money?
For me.
For both of you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, our old ways of thinking aren't working out so well for us, and so we're in this terrible, terrible crisis right now, and I think that certainly new ways need to be thought of and tried out, and I don't know how much worse it can get. I think we're kind of at the bottom of the barrel right now, so.
I think definitely not. I'd look at this in scenario as far as, let's say you're in a casino and you have a certain amount of money and you're down to your last 100. Now if you play the slots, you're guaranteed money. But if you try the blackjack, something like that, it's a risk. We're not at a point where we can take that risk because we can't back it up. So why not play it safe and stick to what we know and get back to where we need to be, and then start trying new things, then start trying and see what works and what doesn't work for us.
Well, Sade, the people who are supporting this proposition say that this will keep the state from taking local government money, which goes to local police forces, fire departments, 911 operators. If the state can start just taking money away from those local operations, the people think that that's going to severely impact how people live.
I think those people should look at it this way. If the state doesn't take away that money and they don't have that money, then what position is that going to put them in? Are those jobs even still going to be there? Are we even going to have a state as far as not the congregation, democracy and everything in place?
I think this is one of those propositions that people will not understand the full impact of it, whether they vote for it or against it. We're not going to see the full impact of this for a few months, maybe a year down the line, and then all of a sudden people
Yes.
will figure out what the real impact of this proposition
realize
is.
what it meant.